So, the genie is not just out of the bottle, but the bottle itself was shattered against the forehead of some poor loser. I was originally skeptical towards Paragon as Warrior's elite spec, since it treads on both the Guardian and Spellbreaker's respective fantasies, and also has already a vast overlap with Warrior's basic components. But against all odds I eventually changed my mind. Here's how and why. Armor-clad Divine Protector with winged aesthetic might be a description that fits precisely both Guardian and Paragon, because they fulfill the same basic character fantasy. Unless of course the blue flame Guardian parades around is a reference to the Sea of Burning Sulfur at the bottom layer of Hell from which all Guardians are spawned, making them demonic and not divine, but that's a wholly different box of wrenches, so back to the topic. Paragon in OG Guild Wars was supporting mainly through shouts and chants, which were essentially differently named shouts, so what of it? Do we give Warrior yet another set of shouts? Furthermore, Spellbreaker is what Sunspears became over time, and guess what exactly does the name Sunspear refer to? Indeed, there's a lot of overlap. So the issue I'm trying to allude to is the aforementioned overlap. Warrior already has even the traits and weapons needed to fulfill the role of a support. However, those tools are just ham-fisted into one trait line, so you can't use its full potential. And in addition to it, the shouts on which shout healing depends, with exception of just shake it off, are a heap of trash, and don't bring real supportive utility besides just the trait healing. Furthermore, because Warrior generates adrenaline mainly via punching people and activates burst-related traits by hitting those same people with the burst, Warrior as a support is forced to stick to the enemy and not to the ally he is trying to support. And almost all Warrior's healing has short range and originates from the player's position. So to optimally heal his allies, Warrior needs to pull an enemy to an ally and staff burst hit both of them. If I was cynical and trying to be mean, I'd claim that those issues remain unresolved, because if they got fixed, ArenaNet couldn't ship the fix as an elite spec and ask you to pay for it. But I'm not cynical today. We have the coping standard to uphold, and I'm dedicated to do so. What I'm going to say instead is that Arena is definitely going to make it bloody sure that Paragon is worth your money. Sure, we're unlikely to have better shout healing, but all it takes is giving Warrior a trait that makes barrier you apply turn into health instead of disappearing, so your Warhorn and Banner of Defense have a leg to stand on, and grant Warrior an F2 burst or heal skill that grant barrier alongside its other effects, for completely new way of healing to be possible. You could even give them a trait that makes applying quickness grant AoE barrier, to synergize with martial cadence, heightened focus, and if God allows, aggressive onslaught. Furthermore, as I already alluded to, Warrior not only has adrenaline problems with supporting, but also needs to hit both allies and enemies with its burst to upkeep traits like heightened focus, which can be remedied by giving Warrior aforementioned supportive F2 skill that does trigger burst traits on connecting with allies. There's much that could be improved by Paragon's addition to Warrior's arsenal. There existed many skills in Paragon's arsenal that granted energy or adrenaline either to an ally or to yourself for every ally in range. And so there existed a wide library of skills that granted powerful utility, including what was essentially a protoplast to magnetic aura spam, or a multitude of chants that worked essentially the same way Thief's Venoms do, but had much greater freedom of effects they were applying. Paragon could have Adrenal Chants as its F2, F5 burst skills, and also have a set of chants as utility skills, with examples such as Aria of Restoration, Anthems of Disruption, Envy, Fury or Guidance, which could all be incorporated into current Warrior toolkit with little to no changes needed. And having the defensive supportive backbone the core doesn't really possess could enable risky weapons like Hammer to shine again. especially if ANET shows some creativity and puts few wholly original skills into this thing, or if design team cooks up something that synergizes well with other warrior trait lines, other than just tactics, that is. Or they could just make Paragon into a spec that fends for themselves decently well, so it can solo compete for side node, so there's more than just Spellbreaker going for it. Additionally, there's a decent amount of ground to stand on for Paragon to have combi options as well, since many of Paragon's original skills, such as Area of Flame, Barbed Spear and Burning Shield, applied conditions as one of the effects. Yes, we still have to wait and see, but one is for certain. Even I, who hates the idea of Paragon being the warrior spec, can't deny that the potential for improvement coming from its implementation is big enough to potentially dethrone not just Spellbreaker, but all the supports in the game. It's just not going to have anything to do with shouts, because those are unsalvageable without a rework. Anyhow, a big sign of gratitude towards all the general supporters, continuously considering my dubious quality content worth their money. You're all truly welcome. Crabface out.